Hello, my name is Nicolas Polymenakos. I work behind the scenes at NORWAC, the Northwest Astrological Conference. Today I'm with Judith Hill. Hello, Judith.
Hello, Nicholas. Very
Yes.
nice to be here.
Yeah, good to see you again. Judith is one of the speakers at NORWAC. She's doing two lectures and a workshop. We will talk about that. I want to remind everybody here that the conference is happening May 22nd to the 26th, 2025, outside of Seattle, Washington. It's sold out in person, but still available to view online. And you can go to norwac.net to get all the information you need, the registration info, et cetera, et cetera. You can be there for the whole weekend. You could pick each day if you wanted to. You can even go to a pre or post conference workshop on your own and purchase that and participate. And we'll talk about that here. Judith, you have a interesting history and past with NORWAC, and being in the Pacific Northwest. Yes, you've spoken many times over the years. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, from workshops that I've been in for you and singular lectures, so on and so forth, there's kind of NORWAC has a certain type of history. And I think a lot of the history does have to do with the Seattle, Olympia, Portland scene in one sense for astrologers that always have a foot into that conference. And you're one of these people, Judith. So, yeah.
It's a
So,
pleasure.
yeah, so Friday you're doing a lecture, 2:45 p.m. Pacific is called Remediating Lunar Afflictions in the Birth Chart in Natal and Medical Astrology. For those who don't know you, Judith, and like the subject I just gave here, natal and medical astrology, this is how long have you been doing this for, right?
I have been s- being a consulting astrologer uh, since I was 14. That's when I gave my first paid reading following a 4-year apprenticeship. And it would be unladylike now to give how many decades that is.
Yes, I understand. But yeah, so you've been doing it for a long time, and
Mhm.
um, in this lecture, it's interesting what I see in the bio. It's Luna, as in the moon. Luna traditionally governs the fluidic distribution within our brains and bodies, and you're talking about how you identify six essential lunar states, which is fascinating. By the way, I've been around a lot of astrology and lectures and stuff. I've never even seen this before, before. So, it's so fascinating. You talk about how these lunar states express physically, mentally, and emotionally as quote unquote dry, wet, irritable, hot, cold, unstable. I understand that what you're saying. So you're doing a lecture there on Friday about this.
Yes.
Saturday, you have another interesting lecture, especially for me, because Mercury's impact on medical timing and neurological response. Fascinating there, especially in these times. With technology and how people's sleep patterns have changed and what happens because of that. Can you tell us a little bit about like Mercury's impact there? And
Yes, that's actually some of my students have said that that is the best lecture I've ever given. So I'm really excited to give it for NORWAC. And when you study certain specific transits to natal Mercury or from transit Mercury to specific planets in the natal chart, it will speed up or slow down neurological response. So, we actually the nerves can move through the body, a little slower, a little faster. And some people are very, very jumpy, and some people are very, very calm. But this information is incredibly useful for the perfect dates to have an inoculation. It
Mm.
contributes to surgery, good dates for dentistry,
Oh,
because Mercury Mars, I'll just give one of what we're looking at. Mercury Mars enhance pain and strong immune responses like rashes. So you don't want certain combinations.
huh.
And others will calm and sedate the body a little more. And you can watch this in your own life by just watching transits to your natal Mercury and from transit Mercury to certain planets in your chart. So it gives the full system of the things to watch for to give you a better result, do things when your nervous system is more calm, less prone to hyperreaction.
Mhm.
And then you'll also be able to see, dates when you're going to be more hyper or more prone to being nervous or have insomnia or have a much worse reaction to a bug bite or something. So it's very, very important information to know.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating, Judith, what you're saying, because, you know, in many ways, uh, astrology is so many things, and we can go to deeper ways, but much of what you said deals with very practical understanding and uses, and I think sometimes we forget the smaller practical details that we feel like we can have control over and understand in our daily lives, like nothing to do with clients or studying or anything
Yeah,
like that, right? And
yeah.
so, I just find it interesting here, the subject of this, and again, I want to remind everybody who's thinking about purchasing or watching this online that I also find it fascinating the state of the world that we're in when we deal
Mm.
with technology. We could do a conference that's in person and do it online at the same time. And it's this interesting mercurial thing that is
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
that the are where we are these days. So again, that lecture is Saturday, May 24th at 10:30 a.m. Uh, I just love what you wrote here. Learn to spot these times and like the times certain things happen with Mercury. And the interesting thing about you, Judith, is your presentation style. And even those watching right now can tell the way you talk. I think you have a great way of transmitting knowledge, in regardless of the level a studying or practicing astrologer is at. From your lectures to your books. They've always been accessible that way. Speaking of Mercury, like how you do that. Okay, so
I always do try, Nicholas, to speak to all levels. And so I will always try to keep the most complex uh, ideologies very simple. But I always try to introduce information no one's heard before,
mhm. Yeah.
that the most advanced are getting a lot of takeaways.
Yeah, that's since I've known you, Jude, it's been your style. It just comes natural to you. I just know from coming out of lectures and listening to people who come out of lectures, let's say from those who've seen you before, or, experienced that or never have, there's people usually walking out like, did you catch that one little thing? That
Yeah.
it's that thing, like, well, I didn't know that, So it's always I again always walking out of lectures, it's always stimulating. There is always something new, again, you have these deeper concepts, but you also have these little tidbits that you drop. So
Yeah.
it's always been that way with you, and I love that. So saying that, for those who might be watching online or who might attend the conference online, besides your two lectures and the workshop, which we'll talk about in a second, we also have these Q&As that happen with speakers in between the lecture tracks for everyone watching online. So, for instance, yourself and three or four other astrologers, I will be facilitating some of those Q&As. And I remember doing this last year because, in a sense, we didn't know what we were going to talk about, and I facilitated a question, and it was fascinating to see how different astrologers approached a certain subject with the chat room and where it went. And so I'm really excited for this because it seems it's like a casual on the fly conversation that produces surprises.
Yeah.
And Judith, you will be doing one of those Q&As also. And besides that, then there is this amazing post-conference workshop on Monday, the 26th of May, medical astrology in action, the transits of health and their remediation. And so, just a quick way of saying this, what is remediation, Judith? For let's say somebody doesn't quite understand that word.
It
What?
means, what can you do about it?
Uh-huh.
Hypothetically, we can't play physician or psychologist, but these are the traditional methods of antidoting something or giving. You can antidote, you can block, you can open a channel for expression, you can absorb, you can do things to absorb energy. There's like 6 different types of remediation, and there are different methods. There are herbs, there were stones, there were chants, there were exercises, there's color, there's foods, there's and it was done by understanding the planets as energies. My last workshop at NORWAC, The Joy of Planetary Energetics, was a beautiful building block for this workshop. But this workshop is constructed so that you do not need to have previous workshops behind it, though you do need to know your way around a chart.
Yeah.
It's not for the absolute beginner. It's for, intermediate, advanced people, people who know what a house, a sign, an
Mhm.
aspect, and a planet are. And we look at in the old times, back the old Greek times, medieval times, Renaissance times, planets were looked at energetically. They had temperature, they had speed, they had a less level of moisture, which is what we're going to be dealing with exclusively with that moon lecture I'm
Mhm.
doing. But they also had a level of tension. And so these affect the mind, the emotions, the body. And you can actually watch and feel this happening. So medical astrology in action, the transits of health, is the name of one of my books, which is also the text for that workshop.
Yeah, no, that's great. Again, it says the remediation of problematic health transits is indeed possible. The astrological remediist, or how do you say that? Remedialist,
Remedialist.
remedialist
Yeah.
adjusts the excesses and deficiencies of problematic natal planets in current transit rays. Now I see what you're saying here. This
Yeah.
class provides a rare opportunity to join an established specialist. That would be you, Judith, in the field as she unpacks and simplifies this craft. And again, this it's amazing here. This is workshop. Number one, identifying the afflicted planet. Two, evaluating the afflicted planet. So you have a system here that you're teaching.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to approaches and the types of remediations that you mentioned, so on and so forth. Fascinating workshop that's going to happen on Monday. If anybody is thinking about doing this, let's say you just want to go to the
Mhm.
to Judas workshop and you don't want to purchase the whole weekend, you can actually do that too. You just go to the site, norwac.net. You can actually just purchase and attend the workshop online. And if you happen to be there in person, you can, I just know from past Norwacs people, if the, you can register in person there even the day before
Mhm.
the night before an actual pre or post conference lecture happens too.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen.
Can we also say that it's also possible, even though the conference itself is sold out, it's possible, depending on the size of the room that I have,
Yeah,
that people can come boots on ground just to the
yeah,
workshop.
yeah.
Still, they would have to contact NORWAC and see if that's possible.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot of times. Traditionally at the conference, people realize they have an extra day and then they're feeling like their brain is opened up at the weekend and then they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this." And you just go to the registration table in person and talk to the people registration table and you can purchase a, pre and post conference lecture right there and you're in. And
Yeah.
so I've seen it happen many times.
And those
Uh,
people get a discount, don't they? If
Yeah,
they're,
well, actually, yeah, that's a good point, Judith. For those who are like who do purchase on like online or in person, like for the full weekend, for the 3 days, if you were to purchase a pre or post conference, you do get a price break. There is a discount that happens. Again, you could check all that stuff out on norwac.net. There's a registration page, a schedule, and the speaker lineups, so on and so forth. I'm really excited for the conference, Judith. We get to
I
see
am
each
too.
other again.
Yes.
We get to do that. And I'm excited too because last year, when on the online version of it, Judith, I got to meet so many people and have these interesting interactions outside of the lectures. we have these breakout rooms, and even on the Saturday night, they have an event. We have another astrologer who facilitates that. They're going to do a rising sign party, Judith. People are going to show
Oh my
up as the
goodness.
rising sign
That's really
on
cool.
camera, like, like sort of like costumish. I don't know what people are going to do actually. So that's happening along with some other surprises I'm going to throw in there. Last year, I was bringing in people on camera, certain speakers randomly online for those who are participating that way. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you, Judith, and these amazing lectures and workshops.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing you too. And I just love NORWAC. It's my once a year social life. And
Yeah, and
it's so much fun. It's just great.
yeah, and again, you have an amazing history there of speaking, so on and so forth. So again, for anybody interested to attending online, again, you just go to norwac.net and you could check out all the information. Even if you have any questions there, you can contact Norwac and Laura Nalbandian, who runs the conference. Ask her any question, and she will help you out.
And I wanted to say, when I come to NORWAC, I always try to come up with lectures with material that nobody has heard before.
Yeah, no, every single one of these this year, again, like the first one we mentioned on the Friday. I said, I'm like, I've never seen or heard that before. This remediating lunar afflictions, right? And then this Mercury impact, which is so for these times. It's so for these times. I don't think people realize sometimes what Mercury is in this stuff. Like your nervous system, Mercury's like you're an antenna and you're sensitive to things. And
Speed of synapses.
yeah. Yeah. And so you're talking to a Mercury in Gemini. So I live this,
Oh,
every
you
day.
do.
So again, but you're absolutely correct. Like all your lecture topics in your workshop are one of a kind, Judith. So, um, yeah. All right.
Well,
Um,
thank you, Nicholas.
yeah,
And
no,
yeah,
thanks for having a chat with me, Judith. And we'll
yeah.
see everybody here May 22nd to the 26th, norwac.net. Bye.
Bye, everyone.